Hello, history lovers. Today we would like to share with you a little-known side of one of the most famous artists in history, Michelangelo Buonarroti. He is famous for the Sistine Chapel ceiling and the statue of David, but his life hid an amazing secret. Come, let's take a look at 13 amazing facts about the Renaissance master. Amazing fact number 1. Michelangelo was left-handed. However, in the society of the time, left-handedness was considered the mark of the devil. He was therefore forced to use his right hand in public. Looking at Michelangelo's early drawings, one can clearly see traces of his left hand. His genius is evident in the fact that he created some of the world's greatest works of art with his unskilled hand. Imagine that. The statue of David and the Last Judgment were all created by his unskilled hands. Amazing fact number 2. Michelangelo did not bathe for a whopping 6 years. Michelangelo's disciples testified that the master did not wash himself for 6 years. Michelangelo's disciple testified the master did not wash himself for 6 years. So much so that when he took off his boots, the skin peeled off with them. This was a time when hygiene was very different from today, but it was still extreme. In this fragrant environment, he created numerous masterpieces. Was he prepared to sacrifice anything for the sake of art? Amazing fact number 3. Michelangelo was also an excellent poet. He left more than 300 poems. Michelangelo's poetry is as profound and beautiful as his artwork. Of particular note is the fact that many of the poems express homosexual sentiments. Homosexuality was illegal in Italy at the time, but he skillfully wove these feelings into his art and poetry. Amazing fact number 4. The Sistine Chapel's Last Judgment hides a highly controversial element. When Michelangelo was criticized for depicting too much nudity, he added the depiction of one of his critics as a soul descending into hell. More interestingly, he depicted the self-portrait as a flayed human skin. This is thought to express his rebellion against criticism and his anguish as an artist. Amazing fact number 5. Michelangelo's accuracy in representing the human body had a secret. He was conducting illegal dissection experiments. Michelangelo secretly obtained and dissected corpses. At the time, this was strictly forbidden. But through this adventure, he learned in great detail about the muscular and skeletal structure of the human body. This knowledge led to his astonishing representations of the human body in his sculptures and paintings. He must have had an attitude of not fearing even the law for the sake of art. Amazing fact number 6. As a young man, Michelangelo made fakes of ancient Roman sculptures and sold them as the real thing. He reproduced Roman sculptures so perfectly that even art dealers were unable to spot them. This fraudulent act, ironically, proved his skill and led to great opportunities later on. This experience honed Michelangelo's technique and deepened his understanding of classical beauty. As a result, it had a profound influence on his later work. Amazing fact number 7. Michelangelo's first masterpiece, the Pietà, is inscribed with his name. This is the story behind an interesting episode. At the time, it was unusual for a sculpture to be inscribed with the artist's name. However, Michelangelo was furious that his work was mistakenly attributed to another artist, so he secretly inscribed his name on it in the middle of the night. Amazing fact number 8. Michelangelo's diet was incredibly frugal by our modern standards. Michelangelo's letter says, "I was born poor, and I have lived. I am satisfied with bread and thirsty for wine. What more do I need?" He wrote. He lived mainly on bread and wine, and only occasionally ate cheese. From a modern nutritional standpoint, this is an extremely unbalanced diet, but this is how he continued to demonstrate his astonishing creativity. Perhaps Michelangelo was literally putting into practice the phrase, "live for art." Amazing fact number 9. Working on the Sistine Chapel ceiling caused Michelangelo unimaginable pain. Working for 4 years with his head in an almost constant crouching position caused Michelangelo serious physical problems. He temporarily lost his eyesight and even lost the ability to walk upright. Amazing fact number 10. Michelangelo did not begin to take up architecture seriously until he was over 70 years old. One of his greatest architectural works is the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. Ironically, however, Michelangelo died before ever seeing it completed. Amazing fact number 11. Michelangelo had an unusual attachment to his sculpture, Moses. Legend has it that after Michelangelo finished the statue of Moses, he slapped his knee and exclaimed, "Speak now." He exclaimed. This may just be an anecdote, but it illustrates his passion for his work and his immersion to such an extent that the line between reality and art sometimes blurred. Amazing fact number 12. Michelangelo remained celibate throughout his life. There is much speculation as to why. Reading Michelangelo's letters and poems suggests that he had homosexual inclinations. However, it was impossible for him to express them openly in the society of his time. It could also be said that he chose to live a life devoted entirely to art. Here are some of Michelangelo's letters. "My art is my wife, and my works are my children." Last surprising fact number 13. Michelangelo continued to create art until shortly before his death. Until a few days before his death at the age of 89, Michelangelo was still working on his sculptures. His last work was an unfinished sculpture called the Pietà di Rondinini. Now we have seen Michelangelo's 13 amazing secrets. His left-handedness, his extreme lifestyle, his obsession with anatomy, and his creative work that continued right up to his death. How did these facts change the Michelangelo we know? We might say that his life was a series of struggles between his devotion to art and social norms. And out of that struggle was born the greatest work of art in human history. Well, history buffs. So far we have looked at 13 surprising facts about Michelangelo. You were surprised to learn that he was left-handed, that he did not bathe for 6 years, that he was a gifted poet, and that he had an obsession with anatomy. How have these facts changed the Michelangelo we know? Reflecting on Michelangelo's life makes one ponder the meaning of the word genius. His extraordinary talent was certainly innate. However, it was his diligent research and ceaseless efforts that made his talent flourish. Recall, for example, that he even performed illegal dissections to gain knowledge of anatomy. How would you define genius? Talent? Hard work? Or is it both? In Michelangelo's time, art was closely tied to society and religion. Whether it was the controversy over the nudity in The Last Judgment, or the creation of homosexual poetry, he was constantly torn between the norms of society and his own artistic expression. What kind of balance do you think is necessary in today's society between an artist's freedom of expression and the values of society? Should the arts challenge society or should they cohabit with it? Michelangelo's life may seem a bit extreme by today's standards. His diet of only bread and wine, his disregard for personal hygiene, his willingness to continue creating until just before he died. Is this devotion to art or an unhealthy obsession? Should we expect contemporary artists to live this way? Or should they focus on work-life balance? Michelangelo's work and way of life continue to influence us more than 500 years later. How does his skill, creativity, and passion for art inspire artists today? And how do you think the value of a handcrafted genius, like Michelangelo, has changed in today's technologically advanced world? How was it? If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time, bye.